Hello everyone, welcome to the energy update for January 2025. I'm Lee, I'm an intuitive, and every month I take the pulse on what might be showing up for us collectively, energetically. Just 3 of the themes that we will be taking a look at this month are bewilderment and grief turn into transformation, cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive, and transforming the victim-perpetrator dynamic. Stay tuned for the full update. Hello everybody, welcome to the energy update for January 2025, the first of this year. And I'm also going to be doing a full annual forecast, taking a look at the themes of the year to come. I'll be doing that free and live on January 22nd. So use the link below if you want to join. And if you're watching this in the first half of January, there is still time to join us on the Big Love Tour. I will be in Dublin, Berlin, Amsterdam, Stockholm, and London between January 3rd and January 12th with my live Big Love Tour, also accompanied by Davor Bozic. And we've just announced Australia and New Zealand. So in April, we'll be in Australia and New Zealand with the Big Love Tour. So can't wait to bring that to all of those places and to get to work with you live. But for today, let's take a look at the themes for January 2025. It's funny, I have 8 themes, as I usually get 8 themes, but my headline for this month is A Strange January. I know that's the understatement of the year because it's been quite a strange few years, but the strange January headline is to remind you that if this January doesn't feel quite like any January you previously remember, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are many things about January that can be tricky for us. I think January can traditionally be a month where many people feel a bit lost or deflated, especially after the Christmas season, if you're somebody who celebrates Christmas. But we also have New Year's resolutions and a lot associated with the beginning of a new year. Probably more of you than ever before will feel more unhooked from old traditions. So that's one aspect of why January will feel a little strange, but the message that I was getting from my guides as I was gathering all of these themes is that don't be too surprised if January is very, very different to what you are usually used to. You may have had a way of approaching January in the past. This January will feel different for pretty much all of us. So just stay alive and stay nimble. I'll give you the themes now, and hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 of these might help you navigate your month. So first theme is the old is leaving us fast. The old is leaving us fast. So we've been going through an energetic shakedown where old parts of ourselves, old ways of being, old behaviors, or perhaps old physical issues that you've been dealing with have been leaving many of us at speed. So particularly between September and December of 2024, a lot of us were pushed very fast through the removal of old programming, old beliefs, perhaps old relationships or outdated relationships. And this will have probably, for many of you, had moments where it felt dramatic or painful or propulsive and intense. These were very intense months on the planet, the last 2 months of the year. So if you didn't find yourself moving through a lot of that, it might be that you're coming into it now and it's a little late for you. But for those of you who've already gone through a lot of that, where a lot of your old ways of thinking, being, feeling, wanting, needing changed, this is going to be a month where things can start to calm down for you and begin to stabilize if they hadn't already. So whenever old parts of us leave, it can have a very big effect on our outer world. There are usually a few different ways we go through this. We change internally, and then at some point, our external catches up with who we've become internally, or sometimes things happen toward us. people leave our lives, or events happen that we didn't see coming that then change us internally. The last 3 months or so, at the end of 2024, there will have been more of us than before going through this deep reckoning with who are we? What are we here for? What do we want now? What are we here to give now? How do we balance our place in this rapidly changing world? So there will have been a lot of soul searching for many people and a lot of release. Now, for many, that period is going to be over, and you are going to start to move into more of a fertile ground where you can rebuild yourself, your life, and rebuild new ways of being. So that leads me to theme number 2, which is the new begins. The new begins. So it's a cliche that January is a time of the new, but actually a lot of you will feel that in January in a way that I don't feel that we have for many years. You know, over the last few years, I've often felt like January has been a little bit of a hangover from the year before energetically, and it's almost taken until February for things to start moving. This January feels very different. It feels like it starts quicker and with more momentum for more people. So those of you who felt either emptiness or disorientation, you're now going to start to move towards transformation and the beginning of building a new world for yourself and for others. When we let go of a lot, or when a lot changes in our life, it can leave us feeling off-center, sometimes a little rudderless. We don't quite know which direction to go in. And you can even just feel very odd in yourself, even in your traditional daily interactions that previously to you were normal and they were what happened. All of a sudden you can find yourself in your body and you're going through the conversations with people, but some part of you no longer feels quite the same. So that for many can leave you feeling either empty about certain things you used to enjoy or you used to like or you used to feel engaged by. That emptiness is now what you feel. And that's a little strange or disconcerting. Equally, you can feel disoriented because you're no longer how you were, but you haven't yet become something new. Well, if that has been your story for recent months, for most of us, as we go through the month of January, that will start to shift into a forward-moving direction where the new begins. So it's always good to not feel like you have to rush to fix things. If you've gone through a big purge in your life, either things have left you or desires have left you, or perhaps people or places or things have changed in your life, it's not always good to try and fill that hole quickly. It's important to give yourself time and space, because if you really have changed that much, you don't necessarily want to lock yourself into a series of new things quickly. You want to give yourself time to feel your way through it. And as something comes into your life and you go, yeah, that feels good, that feels aligned, sure, I'll agree to that for this month anyway. Be gentle and slow with the process of rebuilding. So even though new opportunities might come your way, or you might be, for the first time in months, more open to new things than you were because you were in too much of a purge or too much of an energetic shakedown before, be gentle with your long-term commitments. That's really important right now because it's still a very transitory and transformational time that we find ourselves in as a planet. So you don't want to quickly lock in a brand new life that's very, very cemented, because you might find in 6 to 9 months, some of those things you've locked in tightly need to be undone again. A better question is, why do I need to lock things in so tightly? What is it I'm nervous about that things aren't as fixed as I remember them being? Because if you think about it, a spiritual truth of our life is nothing is fixed. None of us know how long we've got here on this planet. We hope we may live a long and healthy life, but we know that isn't true for all of us. So some level of detachment is very, very healthy. And this might be your moment of coming out of this period of feeling you had to let go of everything. And some part of you is dying to fix everything again. and go, God, I'd love it if it all just felt tidy. Might not feel tidy for a while, but there is power in the mess. There is power in the chaos. You are learning to live within the chaos, but from a much stronger standpoint inside yourself. Perhaps before it was all of the external things in your life that made you feel secure. And as we know, those are illusions that will change. Doesn't mean they aren't beautiful. Our relationships with other people are beautiful. Our commitments to things are beautiful. They're a part of life, but none of them will be fixed forever. They will all change and transform. So as you move into this season of new beginnings, ask yourself what feels really resonant for you to say yes to. And how long is your yes going to be? If someone says, please say yes to this and sign a 2-year contract, I'd be a little iffy about that right now. But if they let you sign a 2-week contract, fine. So the message is new is beginning, but for those of you who've gone through a very seismic change in your life, let the same amount of time happen for the rebuild. Don't rush to fix things into place too quickly, because you might stop yourself or fix yourself at a level that is lower than you ultimately want to get to. You're on a journey, and that upward journey needs to complete its transition to the next level before you too quickly fix and lock things down. So watch out for the temptation to lock things down. That's not going to go so well for most if you start doing that in January. But pay attention to what you want to try on for size, and see these things as seasons that you're moving through, because you are becoming new. So you don't really know yet what the new you really thinks about this thing until you've experienced it for a while. And so you will have to immerse yourself in some experiences, but lightly. That's the key. You are becoming more of a light body, so we operate in a lighter way than we may have previously, and that's okay. Theme number 3, bewilderment and grief turns into transformation. Bewilderment and grief turns into transformation. So, for any of you who've been bewildered by the world, your own life, what's going on in your life, or for any of you who've been grieving for the exact same areas, now it's going to start to turn towards transformation. We had a huge wave of grief happen for a lot of people from November through December. So now we're coming into the period where you get to see things differently. My guides said many years ago that grief is the great transformer. Whenever we are going through a grief period, as brutal as it can feel when it's got hold of you, because, you know, grief is like taking deep dives in the waves. And when grief comes and it takes you, it takes you. And until it's done with you, it doesn't let you surface and come up for air again. So it is this incredibly transformational process. And what we have to do is be able to allow grief to do its work through us. And at the other end of grief, it doesn't mean we come out of it and don't necessarily not miss the person that perhaps we just lost. We'll always perhaps miss them on some level, but we are different because of what we've just lost, or who we've just lost, or parts of ourselves that we feel we've just lost. We come out on the other side different and transformed. So those of you who've been in a bewildering or a grief phase, you're about to go into the transformation phase. And the key to that is remembering that you now have new ways of seeing and letting go of outdated behaviors, patterns, and relationships. Even if your journey lately has been that a significant loved one in your life died, and it's all been about that person, and you've been focused on, okay, I just lost this person who was really important to me, and I've just been grieving that, you will not be the same on the other side of that. Even if the rest of your life remains intact, and you think you've just lost one person, it will change you. You will now be becoming your own version of whatever that person stood for in your life. You may look for it and find it in other people too, but you'll also, because of your reflection on that person and your relationship, you will be becoming your own version of some aspect of what you got in that relationship. So you're different. And that does mean you start seeing everything differently. You start feeling everything differently. So this bewilderment and grief turning into transformation, yes, it means elements of your life now can start transforming, but the biggest transformation has happened inside you. You're now going to see and let go of outdated behaviors, patterns, and relationships. And this can be its own kind of grief and challenge. Letting go of anything that we've been in for a long time can come with emotional pain and discomfort and displacement for everybody. But there's going to be a lot of that happening in January for people, especially for those of you who felt like you haven't been able to take action on some of this stuff for months. The part of you that's ready to take action is going to kick in, and that's going to create some changes and some ripples in your life. They will ultimately be for the better, even if navigating them is challenging in the short-term moment or when you're making those changes. So it's going to be a very powerful month for those of you who feel like your power comes back to you after many months. And it will be that you start moving and changing some things. Theme number 4, focus forward on what you wish to create. Focus forward on what you wish to create. This starts the process of transformation, even if you change your mind or direction during the process. So when we focus forward and start creating something, it begins transformation in our life, which is great. But sometimes, because we start driving in that direction, we realize, oh, I'm driving slightly the wrong way. And we would never have known that if we didn't start driving. And then we go, okay, I need to go a little bit right, or I need to go a little bit left, or I need to phone that person and say, oh, I can't come to your house anymore because I've realized I can't reach the destination in time. So certain things might change. And this goes back to what I was saying about don't lock yourself into any long-term commitments. There's going to need to be a certain level of flexibility and fluidity in January with how things shake out. But this message of focus forward on what you wish to create, this starts the process of transformation. It's very powerful. And even if all you do this month is sit down and write down on a piece of paper or type a few things that you wish to create in the world this year. Might be that you wish to create more peace and space for yourself. Might be that you wish to create something that's really going to help in your community or the world at large. Whatever it is, and there should be multiple things, by the way. It's usually more than one thing that we are looking to create. Just by giving it a little attention, a little focus forward, you start the energy moving and it will start to come. So January is a great month at the very least for doing something like that. You don't have to take action if you're tired or if you're exhausted or if you're one of our hibernators. I just did my monthly broadcast for my members community, the portal, and I was addressing the group, and about 20% of my portal community, according to what I got from the Z's, they're in hibernation mode till February. Good for them. They've shut the door. They're keeping it quiet. They're like, I've had enough. I'm just gonna dial this down. And they're very happy. They're very happy where they are. But maybe one thing they might do is just to focus a little forward attention on what they wish to create so that they can start the process of transformation, or just, light the fire without having to really follow through. So you can change your mind and direction through the process. And to be honest, that's what creativity is. Creativity is not executing a master plan that you've mapped out. Creativity is actually being open to co-create with the universe. As you start creating, the energy of creativity will show you, will shape you, will change you, will ask you to do something differently. That's the beauty of it. It's a dance and it's a relationship. So be in relationship with your own transformation. That's especially useful if you're a little bit sorry for yourself right now. If you're feeling a bit down or a bit deflated about life, feeling a bit sorry for yourself, thinking that things aren't going your way, Sit down with a pen and paper and write down what it is you'd like to create. Put the power back into your own hands. Theme number 5, cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive. Cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive. What are your experiences of the other worlds right now, including ghosts? A lot more people are having experiences with the other side, literally with people who have passed over. And this might be people that you're related to, or it might just be an increase for some people in seeing through the veil. My guides, the Z's, spoke about this. They said this was going to happen, that this was going to, as we went through these years that we're in now, more people would start opening up psychically. And for some, that would involve seeing through the veil to the other side. So if you are somebody who this is happening to, there is a reason it's happening for you. I always say, if it is happening to you, rather than just suffer in silence or struggle in silence, see what's out there that can support you with this. See what other people who are experiencing the same thing are sharing or advising. What advice is out there about your experience? But it will be one of 2 reasons it's happening to you. You might be someone who's supposed to be a voice, a teacher, or an advocate in this area. Now might not be the time. Right now you might be figuring it out and learning. But in the future you might end up being a voice for this. But also, this is partly where we're going. We are becoming a more psychically aware society, and that shows up very differently for different people. Some people are very connected to angels, some are very connected to ghosts, some are very connected to guides. It's a very big world, and as we start to tap into, in a way, these different highways of information and connection beyond us, we start to remember that we are cosmic and we are multidimensional. We're not just the small humans we've been trained to believe we are. So, cosmic and spiritual messages are on overdrive for many. More people are opening, more people are listening. I always say, messages from spirit are not in charge of you. You're in charge of you, and you can co-create with spirit. And that's a really important place to start from. I think sometimes because we've not been trained around spirit and we've got funny ideas about it, I've met people who say, oh, well, my guides told me to do this or say this, and this apparition I had told me to do this or say this. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? Because you're the one that's A, going to have to act on it, and B, you're the one that's going to have to deal with any consequences. So remember, this is a relationship. It's not a dictatorship. And if you're seeing it that way, it's important to do more research, learn a bit more about what's happening to you, especially if you're new to your spiritual awakening or your psychic opening, because these kinds of phenomena are on the increase, which is why I think there are more and more of us who do this kind of work, because we all need many different voices, many different ways of understanding the same message. So, theme number 6. Knowing your vibration and noticing that of others. Knowing your vibration and noticing that of others. So, our vibration is something that changes all the time. You know, we can be in a happy and open vibration. We can be in a really depressed, deflated, pulled back vibration. And we can go for lunch with someone and we're not feeling great, but they're really great, they're really uplifted, they're really open, and we start to raise our vibration just because we're with them and it's fun, and then we can lift. Equally, it can go the other way. We might bring them down because they're trying to, be happy and lifted, and we're like, oh, everything's miserable. And eventually they get worn down by us and they leave the lunch and they're like, oh, what happened to me? And it's like, Lee, happened to you. That's what happened. So paying attention to your own vibration and that of others. If you think about it, we do this all the time when we see someone that we care about who's down. You see someone you love or care about and you're like, oh, I want to see if I can help them or uplift them or check they're okay. I'll ask them how they're doing, whatever is right for the relationship with that person. But now we're at a point where it's really important to know that about yourself at all times. And even with strangers who you've never met, do you know how you're feeling? And are you kind of keeping your eye on that through the day and noticing when you go down? noticing when you uplift. It can be very helpful if you've been down for a few days and all of a sudden you go out and you're with people and you go, oh, I feel so much better. Pay attention. You went out and you were with people and you lifted. Maybe you're spending too much time alone. Maybe making sure you have a bit more community in your life is going to keep your vibration higher. So noticing what keeps you open and more uplifted, and noticing what negatively affects that too. And making sure that you are aware. So I wrote down, self-care requires being self-aware. Self-care requires being self-aware. So I think caring for others requires being aware of others, and that's its own skill. But caring for yourself requires being aware of yourself. So are you just checking in every now and then, a few times a day, noticing how you fluctuate, noticing why you may have fluctuated and what happened? We can learn from that and we can make shifts. This is a new sense for us, knowing our vibration and noticing the vibration of others. This is a whole new sense that's kicking in for more of us than ever before. So it's a new thing to learn and to play with. Theme number 7, physical body upgrades. Physical body upgrades. Are you choosing to physically change, or are circumstances changing you? Now, physical body upgrades is a part of the awakening process, spiritual process, the whole thing. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but interesting that this is coming up a lot at this time. So you might be going through a whole new relationship with your body at the moment, a healthy one where you're either perhaps being kinder to yourself and your body than you were. Maybe you're more interested in looking after it in a certain way. Or it could be that something has come along that's got your attention where your physical body is concerned. Physical sensitivities are on the rise. So more people are having sensitivities, whether it's around your digestion or the way that your skin or your body is reacting to something. A lot of us are being asked to essentially be higher in our vibration, in our physical bodies. And of course, it's always a journey and it's a dance, and we go up and down with those kinds of things, but there is a bit of a bright light on that at the moment for more of us than ever before. So it might be that you are choosing an upgrade. It might be that you are being forced into an upgrade through some kind of health challenge or health awareness that finds you, not necessarily the other way around. So physical body upgrades, the thing to ask yourself is, how can I love and support my body more? How can I love and support my body more? Our bodies are amazing. They will tell us what they need. Do you ask questions of your body? Do you ask questions of different parts of you before you eat a certain type of food? Do you consider this plate of food and this plate of food? And do you let your body give you a sense of which one it wants? So often we think with our tongue and our mind and our habits, but actually it's always a great thing when you've got multiple choice in front of you. Ask yourself, which one makes my body feel a bit brighter and lighter? I've had that experience many times. It's not always the one that my tongue wanted to choose, but the body is kind of clear. Oh no, it's this one. And you're like, okay. So there will be a physical body upgrade around awareness and around health. And the final theme, transforming the victim-perpetrator dance on earth. Even as we experience it personally and collectively, healing is happening. So over the years, I've taught on the topic of empaths and narcissists, and I'm very aware that narcissist is a very easy label these days. Lots of people are getting whacked with that label who maybe they were narcissistic in a certain hour or two of their day. But the truth is there is a power dynamic in that relationship. And usually when one party is in control of another party, it means that there are equal wounds on both sides. The one who wants to control the other has a wound, and the one who is willing to let themselves be controlled, either because of love or because of whatever, it's coming from a deep, low self-esteem, low self-worth that matches this person who looks very powerful but maybe isn't caring for you actually, in the way that you'd like to tell yourself they are. So this victim-perpetrator dance on Earth, which we see all the time, I mean, it's why I can't watch a lot of movies these days, because they end in this battle of, good and dark. It's a really old, boring, simple story that, yes, we need to learn that story, but it's a very old story and it's very limited. So transforming the victim-perpetrator dance on Earth is going to be something that we continue to go through as a society. And we may see it play out globally. We may see it play out on the world stage. We may have it playing out right in front of us. But you yourself will be going through a shift around being a victim or being a perpetrator. Maybe you're reviewing parts of your life where you're not so proud of how you behaved towards someone else. Maybe you made someone feel like a victim of you at some point, and you're either reviewing that or making amends. Equally, maybe you're going back to a time in your life or a moment in your life where you really felt like a victim of another person or a circumstance, and you're sitting deeply in those feelings to transmute and transform them. Because those roles are not fixed for any of us as souls. Those roles are roles that we can walk into or find ourselves in. Sometimes they're thrust upon us against our will. And the trick is the journey to recover ourselves and our soul and to heal. So if you right now are in a real difficult time where you really feel like you're the victim of something, this is not the time for you to have to overcome. This is the time for you to heal and recover. And maybe down the line, you'll look back at what you've been through and you'll be able to see some other layers. But this victim-perpetrator dance on Earth, it's shifting. It's its own form of control. It's its own form of keeping people down. And it's shifting because those roles are transmutable. And so we will see examples of people shifting this. We will see leaders shifting through this. And I don't mean world leaders, I mean people who are leading, being an example of this on Earth. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the message is healing is happening. Where the victim-perpetrator dance is concerned, healing is happening. So there will be some of you out there who find yourself this might be the heart of your process right now, but it will lead you back to your power, your sovereignty, and your soul. So I hope something I've said this month can help you with this strange January. And I'm delighted to announce that we are bringing Rebirth, my annual transformation course, back. It will be coming in February. Stay tuned. We will play you a clip of what you can experience inside Rebirth. As I said, I'll be doing the free annual energy forecast on January 22nd. So use the link below to sign up for that. I'll be delivering it live too. And I'll also channel my guides, the Z's, in that, as well as give you the themes that I receive. We have tour dates January 3rd to 12th in London, Dublin, Stockholm, Berlin, Amsterdam. And then we are doing 5 dates in Australia and 1 in Auckland, New Zealand in April. That's open for booking now. And last but not least, we're also bringing Soul Magic back, my week-long retreat experience in La Jolla, California, next July. So we'll put all the details below. And if you're looking for some good high vibe music this month, you can stream for free Medicine Mantras Volume 2, mine and Devor's latest Medicine Mantra album. We also have some beautiful CDs and journals and things like that at leeharrismusic.com if you want to check it out. But sending you all lots of love for this first month of what is promising to be a wild year. Take good care of yourselves.